Are you ready?
Good news, everyone!
I'm the surprise in your cereal box. I'm
great! Everybody else sucks!
I said, are you ready?
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's Ciely.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
That's right! You're always blaming me!
So, my reputation exceeds me.
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list!
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn!
What is up, you ducks? It is week 9, all in football on FTN Fantasy. Stepmom Lauren, Jake Ciely. Get code all in, 20% off. I don't know, I'm talking like this.
I like
Maybe
it.
because it was Halloween. I'm not wearing a mask or the helmet today, so I won't try to pass out, fortunately. Oh my god, I still can't believe I did that. But Lauren, kind of a Halloween. You're wearing a Band Kickers t-shirt, which
I am.
I gave out like 10 and maybe got one tweet or a pic of everybody wearing one, so thank you for being the second. Congratulations to everybody who got your t-shirt and never shared it. Come on, guys.
Boo. What are you doing, y'all? Pick it up.
Exactly. I just want to celebrate with you to be wearing these Band Kickers t-shirts. I'm wearing my Mandalorian as like, you know, getting held up there and like the whole thing. But anyway, so not wearing. Did you do anything special for Halloween, Lauren? I don't know if you saw my post. Full-fledged matching pajamas with the fiance.
Yes.
Out trick-or-treating with my niece.
That is how you roll. That is how you roll. Well done. Good for you, Jake. No,
Yes.
I didn't do anything special per se. Special is in fun. No. Special is in crappy. Yes. Woke up very early to take my sweet Ellie to the vet to get spayed, and my other dog Jack got his teeth done, teeth cleaned.
Oh, so they both got tricks instead of treats for Halloween.
Yes, they got both put on.
Trick, you don't have your privates anymore.
I know. God, she's been a lush for the last like 2 days. She's like, I hate my life. So poor thing. Yeah, we put a sign out in front of our front door. No trick-or-treaters. Like we put like a barrier in front of our door so no one could come and ring the doorbell and bother any of the kids.
Like I always, because I go with my nieces and nephews trick-or-treating, so I leave a bowl out every single year. Well, it was two things. It was one, I was shocked that I would usually come back to some candy. Like, you know, what last kid doesn't just be like, all right, I'll take the rest. Done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I come back to like 6 or 7 pieces every single year. And I came back this year, and I don't know if all the kids left my neighborhood. There was maybe like 3 pieces missing.
Oh, wow.
This bowl of candy. And like, so I gave it to Nicole to bring to the fire police station, and it was like, hey, enjoy it there. Here's a question I have for everybody. You can chime in on this too, but I have for you, Lauren. This is the interesting one. This has nothing to do with fantasy. This is life stuff. I'm kind of curious. So there's a party involved with somebody who made treats for said party, made cupcakes. So they bring out the cupcakes they made. Everybody brought food. So it's kind of like what you do in this situation. So you make the cupcakes, you bring them to the party, you put them out. Do you grab one right away because you made the cupcakes? Do you grab one right away because you're like, I want a cupcake? Or because you brought them and made them, do you wait to make sure everybody gets one, and then if there's any left, you take one? Like, is it rude to take one right away of the food that you brought?
Heck no. I put all that love and effort into making those damn cupcakes. So guess who gets one first? The chef. 100%. It is okay to have some of your food before anybody else gets it, because snooze, you lose. That's called food. I mean, I put on a football party every single Saturday. I'm making food on Saturday. I do this every single Sunday. I have a huge spread of appetizers. I always have some kind of a main course. You know, just tons of food. And I make sure that it's out by 12:30, 12:45 so that I can get my own plate of whatever it is that I want so I can eat before anyone even gets there, because I'm working all day and it's tough for me to be like, you know,
I had never thought of it before until somebody said something. Not me. And somebody said something.
Plus, you're showing everyone that it's good too, right? So if you just like leave out some food and you're like, good luck, that's like creepy, right?
Enjoy
like,
what I potentially made. That's disgusting.
And then you eat it.
Well, so but somebody says something. They're like, wow, you weren't going to wait for anybody else to get theirs? And like,
is this person awful? Because they sound awful.
I just maybe it's Karen, or what's the guy's name? Ken?
Is it Sean? I've heard so many of the guys' versions of it.
But anyway, I never thought of it before. I thought it was an interesting subject that he has.
No.
Like, is it the proper etiquette to wait to make sure everybody gets theirs, and then only if you take one left? Like if you brought pizzas.
I'll say one more thing on this before you're done.
Okay.
Okay, I'll say one more thing before you're done. I don't know about you, but like some people, and I want to say kind of a majority of people, maybe no, that's a gross exaggeration. Some people, myself included, I won't eat anyone else's food unless I see other people eating. It's a very weird thing that I have. So if someone brings a dish or they bring cupcakes or they bring something and they just set it down and walk away, I won't eat it until I see somebody else going up and eating it. And it's not because
somebody
I think
else
that
or the
bad.
people who made it.
Either one.
Like,
I don't care who it is.
Would you ever eat something if somebody brought like a dip and they like put it down and they put the dip out and then they never touched it? Would you eat it?
Oh yeah, I would eat it. I mean, as long as it's not, and it's not because I think the food is bad. It's just a weird social thing that I have. Like, I won't eat unless I see other people.
You're not the first person to dive in ever?
Exactly. I just can't do it.
I'm the opposite. I want to be the first person in because I don't want to worry about that somebody touched one of the other pieces or like sneezed or breathed. They were like, I want to get in before anybody else is in there.
I don't know. I guess it's just, I mean, my mom loved to host people, everyone has to eat at the same time. I just have a weird thing about being the first person to eat, unless it's on Sunday.
We are going to talk fantasy. It's only
then it is me eating first.
I was just genuinely curious. There you go. Look, somebody great. Nathan said he grabs one else so everybody knows they can have one. So
yeah, exactly. No, that's a thing. That's 100%. That's a thing.
You know what might be a thing? How about that for a transition? We might be going back to liking the Drake again. Oh my God!
Oh God,
I
know.
So, full context here. Yes, we are talking Tuesday morning. We don't know what the situation is with Gus Edwards and his hamstring that he tweaked in that game, who we're assuming that was the report. It's a hamstring. Might not even be a hamstring. It's just something's going on. The issue here, Lauren, it's Monday Night Football. So if we get news, there's two ways to look at this. Gus, let's take the first. I'm not going to throw Beth. Let's say we find out today or tomorrow, Gus Edwards out 1 to 2 weeks. How aggressive are you going for Kenyan Drake? Because when it's been just him, he's been an RB2. We kind of have to do it, but we know it's Drake and we know we can get burned. So it's a 16 bye week too. How aggressive would you be going for Kenyan Drake if we knew he was out?
Yeah, this is a rough one because this is so situational. Because if you did spend up to get him, I doubt you've dropped him. So you probably already have him, but how comfortable are you starting him if Gus is able to go? Because he may only play a little bit, maybe limited snaps. I think that's where most of my angst is coming with Kenyan Drake. If you do not have him and for some reason he's on the waiver wire, I don't mind going after Kenyan Drake pretty aggressively. And my reasoning behind this is hamstring injuries are lingering. They don't really go away, especially this far into the season where he's not going to get a ton of rest unless he's out. And then in which case you're starting Kenyan Drake. So I don't mind going pretty aggressively after Kenyan Drake. I just wouldn't have dropped him already. Unless you're a waiver priority and not a fab. So it's a tough, but I think pretty decent aggressively. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd be at an 8.5, almost a 9 going after.
Well, let me throw this in there too. So let's say, I agree if you need running backs. Again, it's 6 teams on a bye. We have no, Kareem Hunt might be on a different team. Kareem Hunt actually might play this week, depending on where if he gets traded. But no Nick Chubb, no Pollard and or Zeke, no Broncos backfield for whatever that is, but no Barkley. We haven't had any Najee Harris, so this doesn't really matter. But no Christian McCaffrey, so there's a lot of options that teams need to be chasing. But do you go for a timeshare like Khalil Herbert, or do you go for Drake for what could potentially be only 1 to 2 weeks?
That is a great question. I don't mind going after Khalil Herbert here. I think because the long term, yes. Risky, though. It does carry risk, but I like, and I think this is specific just to Khalil Herbert, though, because I like what Herbert brings to the table. He has every opportunity, has an explosive play just waiting to happen. Whereas I think other running backs in a timeshare may not be as upside high as Khalil Herbert can be, and especially if something happens to David Montgomery, you're good to go. But yeah, that's I think that's going to have to be a personal choice. I think for me, I would rather have Khalil Herbert because I think his sustainability for the rest of the season is going to be better than it will be for Kenyan Drake, because I still think that you can start Khalil Herbert as a flex with Montgomery in there, but I don't think you can do that with Kenyan Drake and have as much upside as you would with someone like Khalil Herbert. But it's a tough one.
Okay. So then would you go Kenyan Drake or Tyler Algier? Cordell Patterson's about to return.
That's a tough one. I
The
think
thing
I
is,
might.
Algier is getting the run and the touchdown and passing game where Caleb Huntley still looks better. So,
Yeah, I
where do you
know.
go with this one?
I think I might lean Kenyan Drake with that, but I don't like it. Even as I say it, it doesn't feel right. But I think I might have to go Kenyan Drake to get through the bye weeks. If that's, that's kind of where we're at right now.
So I don't even have Kenyan Drake as if Gus Edwards plays iffy, like he's going to play through said injury. I put specifically for Kenyan Drake, I said only, big capital letters, only if Gus Edwards is out. And if Gus Edwards is out, then you can go for Kenyan Drake. And the reason I said it as well is because it might not just be 1 week. As you said, this might be 2 to 3 weeks. And sure, 4 weeks from now, he's worthless. But, Khalil Herbert, I love Khalil Herbert. Everybody knows I love Khalil Herbert. But it's going to be a week in and week out of you might get RB3, you might get an RB1, you might get a big fat 0 that first week where David Montgomery came back and he didn't even touch the ball. So similar to Tyler Algier, whose tick is clocking, clock is ticking, and Cordell Patterson's about to be back. So, all right, would you go Kenyan Drake versus, they're on a bye, but let's say you knew Gus Edwards was out next week just for comparison's sake. Would you go Drake versus Latavius?
Yeah.
Yeah, gross versus gross, huh?
So obviously we're not talking.
Do you want puke or diarrhea?
Neither. I'm gonna lead rest of season here, and I'm gonna go Latavius Murray, but I'm not gonna like it. Even if I know, but that I know Gus Edwards is out though. That was part of the caveat on your.
I know.
Oh, okay. I'll go Kenyan Drake on that. I'll go Kenyan Drake on that one because I'm probably going to be rooting or shooting for the upside there, and I think if we know that Gus Edwards is out for sure, then I think I'll go Kenyan Drake in that particular.
Which side of the stomach virus was that? Was that the puke or the diarrhea?
Isn't that both? Like when you have a stomach virus, both of those things happen.
That's also possible. So speaking of all these things potentially happening, Isiah Pacheco coming out of the bye for the Chiefs was the starter, as we talked about before the bye, and he was the starter, but Jerick McKinnon was on the field the most. I did Pat Mayo's show, and a similar comparison we made was another player that starts with Mick at the end is Jerick McKinnon is just like J.D. McKissick, who, yes, they're on the field the most.
I confuse them all the time. All the time.
They're on the field the most, but they're not getting the most work because they're in roles. The ones getting the most work, Antonio Gibson, and then last 2 weeks ago before their bye, was Pacheco, despite the fact that Edwards-Helaire got the touchdown. Mm-hmm. So, do you hope or do you believe Pacheco is going to come out of this bye as more of the starter where it means 50-60% of the work, or do you think this is going to be a Commanders-like situation where it's just going to be a frustrating mess?
This is going to be a frustrating mess. There is nothing about that split that makes me think that one guy is going to do better than the other. And if they do, what week is that going to be? And that's what's so frustrating about that is not only is McKissick involved and Pacheco is involved, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is getting the touchdowns. So, even if there is one that will outtouch the other dude is going to be scoring. So it's so annoying, and I want nothing to do with it.
Okay. Looking back real quick, I'll talk about Justin Fields a little bit as we get to the quarterbacks. Khalil Herbert, Kyle Woods asked if he's in the circle of trust. I don't think he is. I would love him to be there, but I just don't trust the Bears because everything's clicking for the Bears right now. And one bad week where they only score 6 points and the offense puts up 220 yards. It's just one bad week. I know David Montgomery is the lead. I don't want David Montgomery to be the lead, but David Montgomery is the lead. This is essentially the Broncos backfield where things are going right. The Broncos backfield when we were excited about it, when it was going right. And when it goes wrong, it gets really ugly. So, no, he's not really in the circle of trust, but I think he can play in the right matchups. I think everything's fine, hopefully, for this week. Actually, you know what? Might as well talk Justin Fields because we're talking about the Bears.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting excited. And there was a tweet, I forget from who, somebody in an NFL Network-ish position. It wasn't necessarily from the NFL Network, but kind of one of those, like a Siciliano or something like that. And they tweet out, is Justin Fields all of a sudden the best quarterback from that draft class? And looking at how that draft class is doing, which we kind of talked about that before. But that being said, I'm going to take Kyle's question, I'm going to put it to Vicinity's question about stashing Justin Fields and say, not just stash Justin Fields. The answer is yes there. Justin Fields, good bye week option, tons of upside, just like Daniel Jones, if not better. Is Justin Fields, let's take Kyle's question and say, is Justin Fields in the circle of trust?
Yes. Yes, I believe that Justin Fields is in the circle of trust now because he has done a 180 change from, oh my God, I'm going to die.
I'm glad
to
you said 180 when some people are like, they did a 360. I was like,
360.
oh, that just means you're back to the beginning.
Bananas, and like then they're right back to where they started. No, it's not. That's the phrase. No, it's not. It's a 180. You go the opposite. Oh, Lord have mercy. I get into arguments about that. Actually, it's funny you say that. I literally just got into a fight about that. Well, fight's a strong word. An argument about that on Friday. I was like, no, it's 180.
I don't think I could spin all the way around.
Well, then you're back to where you started. But if you did a 180,
I was going to do a 360 to do the. I was going to show everybody, but I can basically only get about 70 degrees.
You can turn your head there. I mean, whatever. It's just but that's
I'm
exactly
not an
how I
owl.
describe it. But I'm not an owl. Hermione Granger, Harry Potter. There we go. Woo. So, yes, he is. And because he has calmed down significantly, whether it's through his breathing exercises and his yoga and whatever else that he's just doing, good for you. But the game is slowing down enough for him that his accuracy is improving, his downfield visibility is improving, but his legs are improving, and he's starting to trust himself more. So I trust him because of that.
Okay. Nathan, only a 900 and Tony Hawk. Come on, dude. You need to do like a 2160 if you're playing Tony Hawk. Like, get with it, man. Come on. That's like 900 and Tony Hawk is like child's play. Like, you get the. Come on. Anyway, let's continue. Running backs. Rashad White. Everybody's excited, getting more work. Similar to Khalil Herbert. Everybody's like, ooh, he might be like Khalil Herbert. Interesting enough, last week, Leonard Fournette hasn't been looking great. Oh. But the snaps are still so much there. I looked at it, and I was shocked. Shocked, everybody. Leonard Fournette was inside the top 15 for passing down percentage last week, which makes me... it's clear. They still want him as the passing running back, even if they're going to be splitting more with Rashad White. Is Rashad White just basically... put it this way. If you had to, because of buys, because everybody we're talking about here, I mean, I checked in on one of my team, and I was like, holy crap, I have 5 people on buy. I might as well just chalk this week up to a loss versus trying to do that too. Yeah. And this is a thing that people, and I don't think we talk about enough in fantasy, is that do you just take the L, so to speak, or do you try to find these flyers to fill in? And let's say your option is to drop a Rashad White because he's a high-end backup. If something happened to Leonard Fournette this week, sky's the limit. Rashad White's potential RB1, at least the top 20. Do you drop somebody like him to go pick up a Chuba Hubbard just to get somebody in your lineup? Like, that's the decision people have to make, and which would you do?
That's a really tough question, and I think this is going to depend on your record. It's going to depend on how many players you need to pick up, and it's going to depend on what your team is going to look like over the next several weeks. So if you're sitting okay, I wouldn't get rid of those high upside guys because I don't think Rashad White is just a backup. I think that he is viable on his own. They remind me so much of like the Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram from years ago, that kind of thunder and lightning. It reminds me of that. So I would not drop Rashad White. And if you can sacrifice and take the L, I would hang on to him. But it's going to depend. Do you need a win? Are you okay with getting by? How many guys do you need to pick up? Because if you're just picking up 1 or 2, I don't know if I would do it. But if you have to pick up like 5 or 6, I wouldn't do it then either. It's like, no, if you're going to have to take the L anyway.
Made myself laugh because I was like, do you need to get by the buy? Oh. Bye.
Backstreet's back.
Yeah. I think that's what's one of their 2 songs?
No. So one was Backstreet Boys, one was NSYNC.
I know. Which one was Bye?
NSYNC.
So what is Backstreet Boys? What are their popular ones?
Backstreet's Back. That's one of them.
Is that it?
No, and then the one that's like You Are My
Fire. Talk about a
like
differentiation and where their careers headed for these 2 groups afterwards.
I know, right? Look at
like,
Justin Timberlake.
Even if you take Timberlake out of the equation.
I want it that way. That's right. Thank you, Fox.
Thank you, Fox. I want it that way.
Tell me why. Come on, I was like, whatever. It's my generation. Let's go.
I was going to let you keep going.
No, I don't think no one wants to hear that. I haven't warmed up the pipes enough. Don't worry about it.
Is that what it is? All right, so let's talk Tuba. Let's talk Tuba Hubbard.
I used to be a singer for many years. So yeah, I did.
I did not.
Back in the day.
I've said this a million times. No musical talent whatsoever. For all those talented people out in Hollywood and everything, or like I guess wherever, Nashville. For all those people, that's where God took my music talent that I would have been like, here's your 20% that every average person gets. He's like, no, you get 0, and this is how I make somebody super talented. I'm gonna give them the rest of like what I normally would have parsed out to you.
I used to sing back in the day. That's the only money I made when I first moved to Florida because it was right during the recession and couldn't find a job. So I sang at a bar with a friend of mine, which is how I met my husband.
Wow, look at that. Things you learn about Lauren.
I know, weird, right?
Meanwhile, I had Deli go bankrupt. I went the other way. So. Running backs, go back to it. Chuba Hubbard, I brought his name up. And the interesting thing is everybody was so excited for Donta Foreman. Deservedly so. He clearly the better running back. We knew that. We expected a split. Well, I won't say we for everybody. Myself mostly. Like, I know there's people who agreed with me. Some people didn't. But thought it'd be like a 60-40 with Foreman to Hubbard. Foreman being the better option. That's kind of how it played out the first week. Second week, no Hubbard. It's like, ooh, Reigns, take him off. It's all Foreman. Essentially, it was Lauren. But the issue here is that 40%, I tweeted this out on Sunday or Monday, about 40% was still given up. Like, that was the snap percentage in third and long, second and long, so basically long snaps, and passing downs, which that's what the roles were the opposite way their first game together. So this kind of tells me two things. One is a question, one's a fact. The Carolina Panthers want a designed backfield. They want the lead to be a lead, some passing game work, but mainly that first, second down, short yard, and then the pass catching option mixed in, who was Raheem Blackshear last week, even though he didn't do that much. But that being said, the question we now have is, does Hubbard go back to that lead, which is how they originally started, or is Hubbard now the pass catcher and Foreman still the lead?
I have no idea. And you just said something along the lines of, here's two things we know. One's a fact, one's a question. Congratulations. I don't know anything about what that team is doing. Like, that is just absolutely asinine to me. What? Like, PJ Walker, like, suddenly, like, looked like Tom Brady from, like, good old days Tom Brady, not the crap one we have now.
The biggest air yard throw in all of next-gen stats history.
What? It was insane. And he was throwing lasers to DJ Moore. I'm like, what is going on? The backfield is now like opposite day. So I'm glad you learned something from that, because I did not at all. So I don't know if she was going to go back to what he was before, or if they like this, what they do. I just think they're winging it, to be totally honest with you. I think they're just like, we'll see what, like, when just, throwing stuff at the wall, see if it sticks. And I don't know. Maybe they'll keep on this trend for a little bit until it stops working, and then they'll switch it up. I don't know. I honestly wish that I had some kind of insight, but this is almost like a brand new team in the NFL that we haven't seen before.
It certainly is. I think Foreman's proven enough to remain in the lead, but my concern is that Hubbard's going to absorb enough that people might overreact, and I think there's potential to sell high. By the way, everybody's still talking Tony Hawk. You're welcome. Or thank you, Nathan. You're welcome, chat room, to have something to talk about. By the way, I'm curious who everybody used in Tony Hawk 1 and 2. I was always a Rune Glifberg kind of guy because of he had like a really good mix of like the air and speed and ollie naturally before you built up his stats. So
what year was this?
Plus Tony Hawk 2, 1 and 2. I don't know. Let's see if I can go back. Let me search real quick. 2000 was Tony Hawk 2.
I see.
So I think like 98, 99 was around Tony Hawk 1. But yeah, I was a Glifberg. Because also Glifberg wears a hoodie. I
was Final Fantasy, so I never played Tony Hawk.
Well, yeah, this is also. So there you go. There you go in the chat. Tell me who you used in Tony Hawk 1 and 2. I'm really curious to see who the most popular one was. All right. James Cook. Is he now in the Khalil Herbert conversation? Whoa. What? What is this, like you're a Zach Moss person or something?
No, it's the Buffalo Bills backfield. Kill me.
Okay.
It's so frustrating because is James Cook the guy? No. Is Singletary the guy? No. Is Zach Moss the guy? No. One of them's going to have to be the guy.
Well, James Cook's the guy when they're up by a ton, and we kind of think the Bills should do that plenty going forward, right?
I guess. If you want to rely on that, like, I have no idea.
All right, well, then let's throw it this way.
I can't.
Okay.
I hate running backs now. Go away.
Bucky Lassick was the other one. That was my second most used one. Yes, Jiggles was right. His special trick was one of the best. That's actually so. Anyway, if you can only stash one, then let's put James Cook in this conversation. You can only stash James Cook, Kyren Williams, or Jalen Warren. Who would you stash?
Williams.
So because Sean McVay has gushed about him since the draft, and that backfield was beyond disgusting last week. My biggest concern is, like, even if it's Williams, that offensive line and offense are still terrible.
That's why it took me a while to answer, because my other stash is going to be Jalen Warren. And I couldn't decide between the two of them which one I wanted to stash. So I'm going with Kyren Williams on the optimism that he could get usage now without anything happening to Darrell Henderson. Whereas
Question mark?
Jaylen Warren, right? Question mark. Whereas I believe that Jaylen Warren is only going to see any kind of fantasy relevance if something happens to Najee Harris. But
So
that's it. I mean, that's the only thing that is separating those two.
See, yeah, I'll give you one where I actually think it could come without a Najee Harris injury because of this. They're on their bye, so I don't think it's coming out of their bye. Looking at their schedule right now, they come out of their bye, that being the Pittsburgh Steelers. They come out of their bye and play the Saints at home, the Bengals at home. That's actually a Sunday night game. And then you get the Monday night game in Indianapolis. Somewhere around there. Now, if they go loss out of their bye and they're 2-8, if they go 1-2 in those games and they get to 3-9, I guess after Indianapolis, that's where I think the Warren situation could happen, even if Najee Harris isn't done, because I do think he's already hurt. I think this Liz Frank thing that everybody kind of glossed over.
Way more serious than they let on.
And I'm not saying everybody glossed over like I didn't. Like, I glossed over because I didn't. Nobody was out there, even the doctors of the fantasy world, nobody was out there saying it was going to be this serious. It was like, oh,
and
it's
the team didn't let on either. Najee Harris didn't let on. The team didn't.
And that's why. The team didn't really tell us. That's
like,
the unfortunate. The unfortunate thing in preseason is you don't have to announce injuries like you do during the normal season. Right. So there's a lot of times where they're like, "Oh, Najee Harris just isn't playing the preseason because we know Najee Harris is going to be fine. He knows how to play football." This Liz Frank thing seems to be an issue. That's why I think once you get to 2-8, 3-9, the season's over. Look to next year. Let's get Jaylen Warren out there like that. That's why I think that could happen. But I'm with you because at least in the interim, that's 3 or 4 weeks away. In the interim. Kyron Williams is about to come back and could still make more noise. If I could stash both, I would love to. I think James Cook is more useful, but I don't think he's ever going to be trustworthy without Devin Singletary getting hurt.
Exactly.
All right, then before we get to wide receivers, this is the other one I would stash. And I know I feel like I'm on an island or a branch or whatever it might be for most people, but Isaiah Spiller. Look, they drafted Isaiah Spiller. They've been trying to find the backup behind him. He did not look great in preseason and his brief opportunities and then got hurt. Joshua Kelly was the clear backup, but even with Joshua Kelly out there mixed in, hurt at some time, they're kind of like hesitant to go to Sony Michel, and for rightfully so. It's Sony Michel. They're coming off their bye. Isaiah Spiller made his first basically moment of the season known before their bye, a little bit before that, but coming off the injury, coming off the bye, similar to James Cook last week, I think Spiller could step in for Joshua Kelly's role. And then if something happened to Eckler, I think Isaiah Spiller, if you're playing in deeper leagues and you're looking for running backs, like I don't have anybody to stash at this point, I would stash Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Okay. At all.
Okay. Then let's talk wide receivers. Are you unbreaking your heart for Garrett Wilson? I was shocked. Garrett Wilson's under 50% rostered. Like, I understand it had been frustrating, but I didn't think it was that bad. Are you going full back with Garrett Wilson, or is this only because Corey Davis was out of the picture?
So this is a yes and yes. Okay, so I hated even having to break up with Garrett Wilson, but the reason why was because of bye week fill-ins, and he was not being that upside guy that we needed. Now they are starting to trend back. Well, he is starting to trend back to what he is really there for, to be like this big downfield, huge threat, which I love. But if they can manage this with Corey Davis on and off the field, because he needs to do both. He's got to do better at doing both. Then I think that's okay. Zach Wilson is what worries me, but I think every game he's getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And there's a lot of faith in that locker room for Zach Wilson. And that just doesn't come out of nowhere. So I believe that he can get back in. I don't trust it though, but I am willing to put him back on my squad if I have to. And I will start him if I need to, especially during all these crazy bye weeks.
Okay, we're going to get another one to see if you've unbroken your heart for specifically because, again, Garrett Wilson, no surprise. We've already unbroken our heart for Darnell Mooney, but Darnell Mooney's still in the wide receiver 4 conversation. It's not like we're going gaga for Mooney. But let's talk some more wide receivers before we do get there. Rondell Moore, is he in the circle of trust?
Oh, that's broad. He's toeing the line. He's there like, hi, guys. Can I come in? That's kind of what I think he's trying to do. I am letting him in, but I'm keeping one eye on him. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel awesome throwing him in my lineup and being like,
you're seeing if he double dips in the food that we put out before this.
When no one's looking, like he just that extra, bite of the tortilla chip that he didn't eat the whole thing. I think he might double dip, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. If you're clean, I don't really mind. I'm just kidding. But so yes, I don't mind starting him. Do I trust it? No, I don't. But he has done a pretty good job. The loss of Marquise Brown has been a significant uptick for his production. And the addition of DeAndre Hopkins has been a big increase in his fantasy production because of what Hopkins dictates from defenses. So Rondale Moore has done a good job, but one of the things I'm most proud of him and impressed with is that he's been able to capitalize on the targets that he's been receiving. Nice long targets. Also, he had a couple short intermediate passes too, just to help Kyler Murray out, which was good. I liked to see that. Do I 100% trust him? No, but he's right there at the edge of the circle being like, let me in, guys. I want to be friends. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. Come on in, invite you to the party. If I don't like you, then you're never invited again.
Sidebar, DeAndre Hopkins, holy crap. Like, it's better than he was last year.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, so he was like wide receiver 18-ish in points per game and basically overall in a lot of formats last year. Gets the PED, comes back from the must have been some really good drugs.
I was going to say the same thing, but I was like, should I or should I not?
I mean, we could be honest. Like, if you had to lose 6 months or 6 games, well, I guess for us it would be more like 6 months for comparative wise. Like, it'd be a bit. Let's say 4 months. If I told you, Lauren, hey, 4 months you lose your paycheck, but when you come back, you're going to be better than what you were, potentially even seeing more than you were. Like, would you do it? Would you take that risk? Would you take that gamble?
I think I might. I think what Hopkins did is he sat on the couch and he's just like watching the Cardinals.
He didn't sit on the couch. He spent 90% of his life in the. Have you seen him? Like,
anyway,
he used the max of those PEDs.
He's sitting on the couch watching the games. So he's watching the games in whatever environment that he is in, watching the game. Here, there's that. He's pumping iron, watching the Cardinals lose and not score points in the friggin' first half of the game. If I'm DeAndre Hopkins, I am so friggin' mad. And I'm like, I cannot wait to get out there. It's a mental game for him. And I think it is fully.
It's also a physical body specimen game, too.
Yes. He is a physical. He's always been a physical specimen. But come on. Let him feast. This is great. Whatever. I don't even care. But I think it was that combination of, I guess, having time off and not having to get hit by 300-pound men for, however many months that he was out, 6 weeks, and then coming back in, having the mental acuity, having the drive, and not being beat down. I think maybe the rest of the team was just kind of losing steam because of just the lack of production. He comes in, he's fresh, he's over there like, let's go. It just re-energizes everybody. I think he was mental as well.
The dude went through this offseason looking like The Rock and came out looking like Hercules. All I'm saying. It's just, I don't know.
Hercules.
The good Hercules. Very underrated.
The demigod is what you're saying.
Very, very underrated animation movie, by the way. One of the ones that kind of got glossed over.
Oh, with Megara?
I was thinking Megara. Is that how you're supposed to say it?
Yeah, the Disney Hercules.
I was thinking more James Woods. That's what I was thinking about.
I'm a Disney girl, so.
So, something I said in the waiver column, and something I said last week, I think it was with Meanie or Pat, or I don't know. I do too many shows. I kind of lose track at this point.
Me too.
But somebody on his podcast, who is a teammate of this player, was saying to go pick this player up. And I'm not saying, haha, I'm smarter than Austin Eckler. I'm saying when Austin Eckler says what I was saying, that should make you if you don't trust me, trust that the teammate's saying the same thing.
Whose podcast was Eckler on?
Yahoo's. He's out there with Matt Harmon. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, he used to do it with Liz Loza. And then
Liz
she went to
Loza,
ESPN.
now she's at ESPN, yeah.
So, what I said about Josh Palmer and the waivers is the reason we were disappointed with Josh Palmer when Keenan Allen went down is because he doesn't play the Keenan Allen role. Josh Palmer is an outside receiver. The slot where Keenan Allen spends 60 to 70% of his time role is DeAndre Carter. So, Josh Palmer is the number 3, clearly the number 3, but when asked to be the number 2 in the Keenan Allen role, he struggled. He's now going to be asked to be the number 2 in the Mike Williams role. Yes,
Perfect.
this is what we were waiting for. I think Josh Palmer is a wide receiver 3 until Mike Williams gets back. Sounds like you're on the same page.
Absolutely. I love this. I absolutely love this. And there was one game that just solidified this for me. And granted, it wasn't necessarily in the same role than what he is going to be. But what this, I can't remember which game it was against. It was a couple weeks ago, just not off the top of my head. But Justin Herbert looked his way, I think 9 times in one drive. It was just constantly Palmer. And even though that's not what we're saying he's going to be moving forward with no Mike Williams here, what it did was it built trust for Justin Herbert to look Joshua Palmer's way and feel good about targeting him deeper downfield and even in contested situations. So to me, that just meant like, okay, Herbert's got his number and he's going to look for him. So that was really, really good news. And I was very excited to see that for Joshua Palmer. I love that.
Okay, sounds like the same page. Holy crap. The Rams offered 2 first-rounders for Brian Burns. Like, do the Rams have first-rounders left? Are they trying to trade like 2030 at this point?
For
anyway,
who?
So, Burns from the Carolina Panthers.
Ah, okay.
Linebacker. Yeah, they're line edge type player. I'm surprised. I get the Panthers, but I
thought they were trying to go after
firsts?
Chubb.
They're trying to go after everybody.
Well, yeah, that's what
the Rams are trying to do. Like, again,
they would try to go after Christian McCaffrey.
The
That's
NBA, they're like, we don't need first-round picks until 2074. We're good. Back to wide receiver. Let's talk about our boy Wan'Dale Robinson. Disappointing week, and they are on a bye. But Darius Slayton, 3 of the last 4 games, been a wide receiver 3. Is Darius Slayton the better pickup than our boy Wan'Dale Robinson?
Ugh. Numbers-wise, yes. Trust-wise, no. I'm still hanging on to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Well, you know why the answer trust-wise is? Because who's the quarterback?
Well, true. But Darius Slayton has disappointed me in like right when he has just about 3 or 4 games where it's consistent, you know, and you're like, oh, okay, he's heating up. And then suddenly it's like, where did you go? And he drops like 3 passes.
You know who he is.
Gets pulled from the it's like
he's the Kenyan Drake of wide receivers.
Literally, he is the Kenyan Drake of wide receivers. That's a perfect analogy. He is the Kenyan Drake of wide receivers. So I'm still sticking with Wan'Dale Robinson. But with that being said, I have had several people ask me if they can drop Wan'Dale Robinson through the bye because they need fill-ins. Right. I think you can because he had such a disappointing week. I'm not sure how many people are going to be rushing to the waiver wire to scoop him up. So I think you might be able to get back on your squad because he's going to be on a bye. So
would you drop the magic Wan'Dale for Devin Duvernay, who is back to being the number 1?
I don't mind that one either, especially if you're in a league that scores return points. I know not many are, but I'm in several, actually, that do score return points, and he is just blowing up the stat line. So I do not mind that. Just understand that the target share just is not there. It's not there, but with no Rashad Bateman.
It's the Ravens' offense.
I know.
Honestly,
it's just measly anyway. But
in non-PPR and maybe even half PPR, if you're deep league, if you're a 14-teamer, if you're 12-team deep benches, Demarcus Robinson, I don't think is the worst. His role is different than Duvernay's, and you saw it is a 1-week type of situation. Demarcus Robinson, at this point, being the number 2, I don't think is that much different than Michael Gallup or Darnell Mooney. I
completely forgot he switched
There's
teams.
people that like tell me in my home league that they're like, haha, I told you I'm smarter than you. When they hit like one player, it's all in fun. It's tongue in cheek. But these same guys who are like, I watch every single week. I know they're like, who's Robinson? I'm like, DeMarcus.
I know.
He's like, what do you mean, who's Robinson? And they're like, oh, I didn't even know he was I didn't know he was still in the league. I was like, yeah, shut the hell up. You can't tell me like, oh, you're smarter because you hit
I totally
on one
forgot he
player.
switched teams. I totally forgot he switched teams until I saw some highlights from that game, and I was like,
you know what?
Oh my God,
DeMarcus,
that's right.
You and I should hang out. Apparently, I was the only person on the earth that knew you were there. Nobody else cared about you.
It is so bad.
I'll go hang out with all the Robinsons. I'll go hang out with Wan'Dale, DeMarcus, Allen.
So many wonderful Robinsons out there.
James.
Unless he was in the end zone or the red zone.
Emery and I were on James before anybody else, too. So, like all the Robinsons. We can hang out with
the Robinson parties.
There you go. Would you drop Wan'Dale Robinson for Alec Pierce? 1 game of Sam Ellinger. I found it is officially
It is
Ellinger.
the G, not the Jur, right?
It's Gur. It's officially from the Texas Longhorns website. They actually even have it, so it's Ellinger.
Thank you.
So 1 game of him, Paris Campbell fell to the wayside. It was all Michael Pittman, and Alec Pierce stepped back into being the number 2. It's only 1 game, though, Lauren. So, but Ellinger is taking shots downfield, a little bit more than he did even in college. So, Ellinger so far, 1 game, is Alec Pierce now back into at least, hey, let me go grab him if I was holding on to Wan'Dale with the bye, make the switch.
Yes. On the bye, you can do that. But I still like Wan'Dale Robinson a little bit better than Alec Pierce right now. So right now, but I want to see a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more from Ellinger because I think he did. So Frank Reich came out about Sam Ellinger real quick. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Frank
fine.
Reich came out and it sounded to me like it was.
They also fired their offensive coordinator, by the way. In case you didn't, Marcus Brady's gone. Because that's going to fix things. That's going to fix things.
Well, of course, but whatever. They need some kind of a change in there. But anyway, so Frank Reich came out, the head coach of the Colts, came out and said that there was something special about Ehlinger, and to me that sounded a little shallow, sounded hollow, sounded like, okay, you're just giving Matt Ryan lip service because he just basically got crapped on, and that really stinks. So you're trying to be like, oh, but don't worry, Ehlinger is really special. But when I did watch a few of the plays that I saw him in, he did look. There was something. There was something there. So
there's escapability. That's the biggest thing.
And he can use his legs too, which I don't mind. But I didn't mind his arm. I mean, it wasn't as polished as obviously as we wanted to be in the NFL. But I think there is some hope there as the season progresses. So that's a really tough one for me between Wan'Dale Robinson and Alec Pierce because I love both of them. But I think you have to be realistic when it comes to the buys. So yes, you can drop Wan'Dale Robinson and pick up Alec Pierce, see how he does, and then compare that to Wan'Dale Robinson and then see where you want to go from there. But those two are really, really difficult for me because those are one of my two favorite wide receivers right now and win the wide receiver 2-3-ish category.
Would you drop Paris Campbell for Alec Pierce?
Absolutely. I never would have picked him up in the first place.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Would you drop Paris Campbell for DeMarcus Robinson?
Don't mind because I don't like Paris Campbell's production on the field. I mean, we had, 2 weeks of craziness? Oh, that's it.
That was... And Matt Ryan was throwing 8 billion times a game and can't get it 20 yards downfield. No. So that's part of it too. And the added element of Ehlinger's escapability was he can extend plays. I actually drew the comparison. If anybody was watching last week, I said similar to Tyler Heineke, Jacoby Brissett, those type of quarterbacks can escape, can run some, isn't going to take off even as much as Daniel Jones. But in that realm, well, what happens is when you aren't able to even escape the pocket, you need Paris Campbell, I'm open. Yep. You can't wait 3 seconds. Yes. And then the routes don't develop. These guys aren't open yet. But that's an interesting thing about what Ehlinger can do, just to echo exactly what you're saying. He can create time to allow plays to develop. Now, he can create time? He's a god? That's amazing.
You didn't know? Frank Reich said he was special. Come on now. Hey.
Who is the god of time? I don't even know. Is there a god of time?
Jesus?
God of time. I mean, yeah, but I mean, Kronos. I meant in all the mythological stuff. So Kronos is the god of time for everybody out. For your Greek philosophers, if anybody
No,
was
he's
just
not. No. Kronos is not the god of time. He's the god of, he's a titan. But no, I need to look that up.
I'm looking at it right now. He's the king of the Titans and god of time.
Oh, chronology, Kronos. Yes, I'm thinking of something else. I'm sorry. Yes, chronology, Kronos. That's where we get the word chronology. There you go.
Oh, he's also the father of the 8-year-old joke. He's the father of Uranus. So there you go.
I still laughed.
There you go. For anybody out there, if you're wondering who's the daddy of Uranus, let's move on.
Oh my God!
I was like, I should stop talking. This phrasing is going to be really bad.
I can't wait to see. And I literally just looked over into our private chat, and all I can see is Fox's "I want it that way" answer from our earlier. We're so mature here on the waiver all in show. We do such a good joke. Yay,
said that. Moving on. Similar to running backs, if you can only stash one. Thankfully, the viewership kind of goes down by you get to the 40-minute mark.
I don't know why. This is when we fall off the rails and everything's hilarious. Okay. And my mascara.
If you could only, oh my gosh. That is true. Immediately, I do regret my decision. Stashing these wide receivers, interestingly enough, Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, straight ridiculous home road splits. It's basically Amari Cooper catches touchdowns is good at home. Donovan Peoples-Jones is good on the road. End of story. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, Van Jefferson, first game back. Terrace Marshall, everybody told me I'm stupid for stashing him. But, I mean, of course, that involved the trade. Tyquan Thornton, who's healthy on the Patriots outside of Jacoby Myers. Or N'Keal Harry, who's back, everybody. If you can only stash one, who would it be?
Terrace Marshall.
Okay. I
think I'm going to go. And the reason I'm going this here is I'm not really a fan of most of them, but I do like
Peoples-Jones is only on the road.
I know. And I mean, I don't like Peoples-Jones either, but I really, really liked what PJ Walker was doing with Terrace Marshall, but he just wasn't catching the football, right? He just kept dropping and then, but But I think that can translate. And I think that could be possible flex opportunity late. Because don't forget, week 14, we have another, 4 to 6 teams on a bye in week 14?
I think, is it 13 or 14? 13 is the one with 2. Is it 14 the one with 6?
14, I think, has 4 to 6 or something stupid. So unless the Panthers are on a bye that week, my bad. But I don't mind him as a spot start, as a matchup dependent guy.
Yep,
Out of those names, Marshall is the one I would hang on to.
Yeah, 14 is Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Washington.
Lovely.
So there you go. So, all right, before we get out of here, worries for you. How worried are you for DeAndre Swift? First game back, touchdown basically saves his day. I looked back and was watching something like, you know what, the split that everybody thought might go away, or at least be 70-30 this year, is not. The first week, Lauren, was the only week that DeAndre Swift had more than 9 carries. He has only hit double-digit carries once in all of the games. Granted, it was his first game back, so that's why I ask you, how worried are you for DeAndre Swift?
If I had a lot more faith in him than I did coming into the season, which wasn't a ton, then I would be worried. But since he's doing exactly what I figured he would do, I'm going a 2.
Okay. 2, just a flat 2 or 2 and A?
Flat 2 right now.
Okay, flat 2. I give him a flat 2 as well. All right. Before we get out of here, I have more worries on the site over The Athletic, so you can continue to see what they are. Geno Smith, Michael Carter, Brian Robinson, and George Pickens, and some more, and all these waiver rankings and everything for everybody. But before we get out of here, the one I skipped over, Lauren, final one, Courtland Sutton, your worry report, because Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton have essentially, if you just pulled the raw numbers, like to date, playing with each other, including last year, every game they've played with each other, the numbers are almost identical. The problem is that when you start to look at the game logs, that's where it gets sketchy. Courtland Sutton has top 15 upside, but he's hit a very low floor, a lot more than Jerry Jeudy has, who has been a little bit more of the consistent option. All that being said, this offense also looks broken, continues to look broken every single week. So how worried of you are Courtland Sutton? Because somebody even asked me in the waivers, can I just drop Courtland Sutton?
I think he can. I am so incredibly worried about Courtland Sutton, and he goes by the name Greg Dulcich. So, Courtland Sutton is now a
option.
Boom or bust.
I said that to Meanie yesterday. That was my question to Meanie, Lauren. I said, is Dulcich the only reliable, not usable, reliable option in the Broncos offense?
Reliable and usable. That's all you got. That's all. That's it. I would not start any other Broncos yet, or maybe ever this year, other than Greg Dulcich. If he's healthy, he's on the field and he's taking everything away. And Russell Wilson literally looks to him for nearly everything because he can't do anything else. So, Greg, where are you? Greg. And that has turned Courtland Sutton into a boom bust, basically the Amari Cooper of the Raiders.
Worse than that, I think it's Darnell Mooney.
Oh, yeah. That's an even better one. Mm-hmm.
Darnell Mooney of the Broncos, and as we get out of here, make sure you're following Stepmom Lauren.
It makes me angry because I loved Courtland Sutton heading into this year, and that has been
Everybody did. Follow Stepmom Lauren at Stepmom Lauren. If any of you are still in school and you have a test coming up for Titans and Greek mythology, you, congratulations, are never going to miss Kronos again, or who his son is. You have now won that forever. And you can check out everything at The Athletic.
Or who
we'll be
his
back
son
tomorrow.
is? Do you know who his children are?
I know. We already covered who his son is. I'm not saying it again. I'm not making that poor decision again. I'll make another decision tomorrow.
And all the Olympians are Cronus' kids.
He's the
and
father of Uranus. You made me say it. We'll be back tomorrow with rankings for week 9.